Welcome back. I'm early and I'm going to do a thing properly this time while I'm here and we're early and it hasn't really started. I'm going to say, hey everyone, welcome back. Did it work? It worked. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So I'm early for a reason. And the reason is I misjudged the time. I have I have to probably change a battery on one of the clocks, and I thought, oh. But it says here that it's 9:55 on my computer. It says it's 9:55 a.m. That's Abbey time, Eastern time. So wherever it is that we are, and however it is that we are logging in, I just wanted to talk to you today about two things. I'm giving us all a second chance to talk about two things. So since I have a minute, I'm going to take a sip. Join me. And I wanted to do a very brief kind of mom brag. So I have, at the moment, I have two active clients who are small business CEOs. And they have been longtime clients. Good morning, Eddie. Good morning. How are you feeling? On a scale of 1 to what on earth has attacked me? How are you feeling? We know. These two people that I've known for a long time, on and off, collaborated with, done little projects together, not alike, except that they have a passion for their business. They have a passion for such a deep passion that they looked around and they couldn't find anybody else doing what they wanted to do the way they wanted to do it, that they decided to do it themselves. They decided to start a business. And oh my goodness, how fascinating and collectively scary and delicious simultaneously has that decision been. It goes off the charts. And so because I've set that in motion about how much is this and how delicious is that, I'm leaning into the first thing I want to talk about today. And I don't want to jump the gun too much. However, this is what I want to say. I want to say that I think we are sometimes measuring using the wrong units of measure. We are choosing, let's not say wrong, let's say less than helpful, less than productive, less than precise, given whatever it is that we're measuring. I mean, if you were Noah, you needed to understand what a cubit was. I don't know. Has anybody ever figured out what a cubit is? So, because he got these instructions from the very first IKEA, saying, okay, get your cubit measure. And he said, what? I don't even have an Allen key. Now I need a cubit measure. Thanks. So every time we feeling noodles better, that's good. Cold went through, good. Sometimes, Eddie, I think that we, speaking of units of measure, when we look at the weather forecast and it says that the winds are gusting, a mile an hour or 5 miles an hour or 45 miles an hour, we act accordingly. We say, okay, so probably we're not going to play badminton outside in 100-mile-an-hour conditions, because you'll hit the shuttlecock and it will next be seen in Wyoming, really. So we act accordingly based on the measurements that we're working with. And then we call them standard measurements, so that we all accept that, I'm not going to go there. I almost led into one of those awful old jokes. We can all accept that this is how far we are from the curb. This is how much a cubit is. This is how long it's going to take to get from A to B. And once we agree on the common definition of the unit of measure, we are all tentatively, hopefully, joyously, more or less on the same page, and with any luck, facing in the same direction. So, my unit of measure today. Good morning, Freddie. It's great to hear from you and see you. So, my unit of measure conversation today, I just wanted to throw this out there because I think it's great. I was talking to my two client friends about the value of their wisdom, about the inherent value of their time served. And this little umbrella entity that I'm creating to collect all my people to have conversations. Good morning, Susan. This umbrella idea that I'm creating, I'm calling it Seniority Works. And the reason it works is because the more you know, the gooder you get. And it doesn't matter how slick, and it doesn't matter how large, and it doesn't matter how shiny and fancy and new and high tech the newcomer is. Seniority, wisdom learned over time, tops initial enthusiasm every time. So I was thinking about that conversation because I had it with both of them. And I realized that wisdom, we don't have a unit of measure for wisdom. So I was walking around muttering to myself, thanking the gods that I didn't have my windows open and there's nobody in the apartment right next to me because they've already gone to work. So other thing, who is she talking to? So I realized I came up with the unit of measure for wisdom. Susan, tell me if I'm right. I think the unit of measure that everyone understands is an inkling. It's like an inch. We all know what an inch is. We all know what a cubit is. We all know what a hectare is. We all know what a gallon is. We all know what an inkling is, because we say that fool hasn't got the slightest inkling. He hasn't got the first clue. He doesn't have, but a clue can be so many things. But an inkling, there's really only one other definition I can think of for an inkling, and that would be a really, really tiny dot of ink on a page. It's not ink. It would be an inkling. So I think what we're going to be talking about in terms of were you listening to you is how many inklings did you bring to that conversation? And now we will have a kind of a code language. So my conversation really today, and now it is 10:02, so here we go. My conversation today, speaking of units of measure, is why do we keep giving second chances? Why? Second, why do they keep needing them? And third, if they keep needing them, why have we not jettisoned them and tossed them to the curb? Boot. And fourth, there's so seldom four things. Fourth, if we keep giving them, why do we keep calling them second chance? If it's your 433rd, what am I thinking? What are you doing? And why am I calling it second? We should at least be able to say, this is my 433rd time giving you a second chance. What am I thinking? What are you doing? What is wrong with this picture? Which one of us is driving the bus? So this is what I want to talk about. Today, I want to talk about the autopilot habit we have of forgiving people at our cost. Are we listening? Anybody? Anybody with a small business? At what point does it make sense to say, oh, it's okay, I don't mind. I mean, it's, I'm all in favor of second chances for the 433rd time. How are they going to learn if we keep saying, no, that's okay. That's okay. I ran into a woman at a million years ago when I was in college. So that epic era's version of a dollar store, of a Target, of a whatever. And she was buying paper plates. And I said, you having the party? And she said, no, I've suddenly realized that I can't I can't train myself. I can't discipline myself to do dishes. So I'm just going to buy disposable one. I'm going to give in to my failing. I said, yeah, but they had to kill a tree to do that. She said, yeah, well, the tree's already dead, right? And she walked away, and I thought, okay, I know there's something deeply wrong with that. I know that is a white flag if I ever saw one. It's a surrender to my laziness. Except that there's also a certain measure of ingenuity there, because it's not like she was going to stand over the sink and with a paper towel and eat. At least she wanted something to put it on. She wanted some semblance of civilization and dignity and elegance. I realized I'm never going to do dishes. So, what is a second chance? What is it? Let's start there. What is a second chance? A second chance is an opportunity to correct a mistake, a freebie, a get out of jail free. And it is saying that nothing is written in stone until we decide that it's written in stone. So the learning curve is a learning curve. We are imperfect. And so when you make a mistake, as long as we discuss the mistake and we see the error, we see the inherent flaw, you get a second chance. Okay, second chance. And by the way, what did we learn from this one? And the answer should not be, well, we've learned that if I just stand here and mess it up enough, you'll give me another second chance in about a day and a half. That's not the lesson we want them to learn. If we are trying to help people see where their strengths are and enable them, give them the Allen key, give them the instruction booklet written in their language, listen to what it is their confusion is, go there, stand with them in their confusion, with them. We can't ever see the world through their eyes and their filters, and they can't see similarly through ours. But we can stand next to them and say, okay, I'm looking at what you're looking at. Tell me what you're seeing. Tell me what you're seeing so I can help you find another way to save yourself and save them, if that's even possible. And so that conversation that we have, that I have all the time, is an exercise in profiling. Profiling is an exercise in adding up the numbers of their equation to see if we can understand their answer. And when it doesn't make any sense, we know that there is an element in that equation that is hardwired and invisible that they automatically take for granted and therefore don't mention. So when the person says, well, you know, I spent half my life focusing on this opportunity, this moment. Okay. And I made mistakes along the way. Okay. And so I understand how frustrating it is and how exhausting it is and how confusing and unhappy it is to recognize that we've made a dumb mistake and now we have to correct it. And that's adding more time to the learning curve, when where I really want to be is on the other side of what am I doing, so that I can really enjoy the doing. Okay. And that's why I give second chances. Okay. May I ask you a question? Sure. Do you ask them why they want to do this thing you've invited them to do or they have offered to do? Have you asked them what their passion is? Have you asked them how many times they've tried? Have you asked them what has gotten in their way previously? Or have you just assumed that because they are standing next to you and they say, oh, that looks really cool, I'd love to do that, I've always wanted to do that, have you just assumed that they have the same values you do? Blink, silence. Oh, right. Good morning, Viking. Good morning back, Viking. So there's a mistake that we all make. that predicates, well, if it was me, I'd want a second chance. Yes, it isn't you, though. We've just described you. You're the one who's invested this and donated this and committed that and sacrificed the other. That's you. There's your profile. That's 2 eggs, milk, flour, sugar. Right? That's your recipe. What's their recipe? Random knee-jerk, hey, that looks like a good time? Well, probably not. How do you know? Did you ask? No. How many projects, how many career paths, how many, yeah, oh God, oh, I would do that in a heartbeat. Have they voiced? I don't know. You didn't ask. No. As my very wise Nordic friend has reminded me repeatedly, because I am guilty of this as well, you do realize that Vikings had to qualify to get into the boats, right? And I have said, sure. And the sound of the joy, the silent joy in his smile before he laughed on the long distance phone line. What's a symphony? He said, I love your positivity. I love your confidence. I love your intelligence. And I said, I've never liked you. Why do we do that? Susan, what are you saying? We don't realize how much we're giving away their energy for free. Ta-da! Yes, we don't realize how much and how silly it is to say, look, here's my energy. I'm going to make it sticky on one side and put it on you. That'll work. What happens when the glue dries and it falls off along with the glitter? And there's your energy that they stepped on walking away because A, they didn't care in the first place. B, they didn't want it. Susan, what Susan is just saying right now, when you know you are touching both sides of their brain, you know what is interesting, Susan? We don't talk about this enough. The absence of the absence when there's just nothing there, when they're just looking at you and you know they're wondering when you're going to stop making noise so they can go and have a sandwich. You can tell. The thing is not that you realize that, not that they're doing that, but that after that, you still give them a second chance. So here's what I think it is. And what have you said, Eddie? Here, hang on a second. People don't realize, no, that's you. Changing the game, yes. If it were me, isn't that looking through one's own filter? No, it isn't. If it were me, that's saying, okay, walk in my shoes. If I were going to do it, and I think Eddie, and I think Susan, and I think undo, redo, edit. What I think is going on here, and I think it's insidious. I think it's a silent stealth thing. But I think that we are giving them second chances in a very, very sneaky way to take control, to manage them like marionettes. We want to be right. We want them to stop being them and be us, because that would make it right. Ha! Gosh, Susan, who am I describing here? We want to be the template. We want them to fit into our shoes, our fabulous new shoes that I just received yesterday. We want them to say, oh, what was I thinking? I so want to be more like you. We want that for them because it feels good when we do it. So partly it's an act of love, but it's also an act of control. It's an act of saying it has to be this way. So a great leader, a great inspirer, a great nurturer, reaches a place where they say, I am aware, check box number one, I am aware that we all learn by mirroring the thing we see. I am aware, box two, I am aware that we learn this in the back where there are no words, and therefore we're not really aware that we're doing it. But just as the adult lion teaches the cubs how to stay alive and have dinner, they don't sit us down and say, okay, let's all turn to the back where the answers are. No, they take us out, and if we start to mess up, they pick us up by the scruff of the neck and they toss us back into the den where we're safe. And then they take us out again and show us again and show us again. And they encourage the roughhousing play because that is role playing the stalking, the hunting, the killing, and the surviving. We all know that is how learning happens. There has never been a nature program that I have seen where a lion and a cub are in lockstep. Do it exactly this way. I can't do it exactly that way. Why not? Because I'm 3 weeks old and you're 7 years old. You're bigger, you're faster, and you've practiced. And I am none of those things. So giving me a second chance to be you is off the charts unhelpful if you are a great leader, if you are a great teacher. What is off the charts brilliant is if we take the time to look at the cub, to look at the person, to look at the student, to look at the situation and say, my cub has one leg longer than the other. I'm going to have to teach them how to run differently because they can't run like I run. My cub got injured and has only one eye. I'm going to have to teach them how to deal with this differently because they can't see from that side. I'm going to have to teach them how to use the survival skills differently. I have to get in their shoes. I have to walk their walk to figure out how to teach them what I know. Oh, that is sharing a power. That is sharing all these inklings that we've earned over time and using our ability, using our imagination to adapt to them. My brilliant friend Susan heals people. Some of it is massage, some of it is energy work, some of it is when they're not looking. She goes up inside their head and gives them a good swift kick. Whatever works, she has a recipe. How has she learned over time that no two patients are the same? Trial and error. How has she learned over time that none of her patients are her? How has she learned over time when she was going to the years and years and years and years of school and the years and years and years and years of on-the-job training? How has she learned to get out of the way, to be able to see them for who they are and what they need in the moment? That's why they came and said, I have money, please help me. She didn't learn it right away. It was a learning curve. And her curiosity was easily overriding her desire to have them just do what I do. Just do this, do this. It takes, we constantly have to go back and say, oh, wait, that's right. You don't know this. I have to tell you. And even when I tell you, you don't see it from my side. It's a huge too many second chances thinking we can fix them. Ha! Wise Viking once told me, you can't fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. And the Viking might have said it through clenched teeth on the 433rd second try. And the only reason I knew it was because somebody had to give me 433 second tries as well. Why don't we see it? My clients are really smart. I love being surrounded by smart people because it allows me to say, I know all the best people. They're smart and it's all about me. Really? So why can't we see it? Why won't we see it? Why won't we see it? Because, by the way, we can see it. We just have to turn our head and open our eyes and say, oh, how long has that been there? Why won't we see it? Because we have this vision of perfection that isn't even remotely real or possible. Not remotely possible. Why not? Well, because we're not perfect, for starters. Secondly, the tools we use aren't perfect. Why not? Because people made them. Well, what if it's made by a machine? Somebody made the machine. A people made the machine that makes the tool. Oh, yeah. And by the way, nature isn't perfect. Go look at a flower. Go look at a leaf. Go look at stones. They're not uniform. They're not all shaped this way, lining up this way. You know, you stand back and say, oh, look at the field of flowers. And you get up close and the flowers are all this, right? Okay, don't stand that close. There's a reason nature is not high definition. That's it. So the conversation today that I don't want to drag on, that I am trying to narrow down into tightness, into conciseness, into clarity, is this. Why do we give multiple second chances? Question one, why do we do that? Write it down. Why do I give multiple second chances? What's in it for me? Why does that make me feel valued? Why does that make me feel safe when I do that? What is my goal in giving multiple second chances? I'll give you a second chance just this once. Mm-hmm. Well, what are you doing now 3 days later? Well, you know. What does the person learn? The person learns that there's an endless supply of second chances and all they have to do is perfect the puppy look. I'm sorry. No, they're not. If they were sorry, they'd fix it. So that's the first question. Can you hear the sirens? My window is open. Just fortunately, they're not coming here. Why do we? Why do they? Do they keep setting themselves up and looking puppy dog-ish for a reason? Because, okay, I got it wrong. Can I have a second chance? Okay. Hi, I did it again. Can I have another second chance? That's a third chance. Okay. Why do they need a third chance? What happened for the third chance? Were they not listening? Were you not clear? Did some random other happen for the third chance? If you're going to give them the third chance, you need to understand why they need it. They need to be able to tell you why they need it. The two of you need to have that conversation. Because why? Because a time invested for another chance is time you can't invest in something else. Because you cannot be in two places at the same time. You cannot complete one list while you keep adding second chances to this list. So you are sacrificing this for that. There has to be a reason why that's a good decision. Let them help you explain to yourself why that's a good decision. Don't you decide why they deserve a third chance or a 73rd chance. Have them explain to you why they deserve and what they're going to try to do more to thank you. Okay, what happens after we do that? And they come back and they say, and you say, what? Can I have another chance? Why? What? Why? We don't say that. They say, what happened this time? It doesn't matter what happened this time. Because now they're just going to spend more time, waste more time. You're going to lose opportunities to do more stuff on your list. Why should I give you? Explain to me the value in giving you another. Give them the opportunity to help you make that decision. Give them the opportunity to own at least some part of their participation in it. At some point, you're going to meet someone who is honest enough to say, well, I just figured that if I keep screwing it up, you'll eventually do it for me. Because that is often the root cause. They're going to walk through the motions, mess it up as much as they can, push you to the brink of reason, and you'll say, for heaven's sake, get out of the way, I'll do it. And then who's in control? Them. Whose life is it? Yours. Whose bus is it? Yours. Who's driving it? Them. Do they know how to drive? Clearly they do, because they just got you to give them the keys. And so how's that working for you? So I think the conversation is, stop giving away your energy is when you see who has been living through it. Yes. Oh, yes. 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 Because they say, why aren't you coming? Why aren't you? Well, can you at least drive me? Yeah, I'll drive you. Wait outside. I'm not coming. I figured you'd do it. Yeah. And how would they, Eddie, how would they figure that? Would they figure that because they got you to do it enough times? Would they figure that because everybody else they tried their shtick on it worked? Yeah. Yeah, because we learn by mirroring. We learn and then we get gooder at it by practicing. Right? So why do we keep giving the keys away? Why do we keep making excuses? Well, I had to do it for them because they didn't want to do it and they weren't going to do it. And I knew that if they didn't do it, they would be very unhappy later. Okay, so you took away their opportunity to learn what unhappiness feels like. You took away their opportunity to understand cause and effect. How does that serve them? That holds them hostage to you forever. Oh, oh, oh. Do we think that if we are the source of all the solutions, they will never leave? And this scenario that we have right now, where they are the eager and we are the kind, will never end? Is that what we're doing? Is that what we're doing? I was talking a long time ago with my very, very brilliant friend, therapist friend, who became my client for her books and her strategic brainstorming. And she said, people want to feel safe. And the way we most often feel safe that isn't true is by staying exactly where we are. Because we know how to do what we need to do when it's familiar. We have to be willing to go through the awkward stage of yelling at the, the fire sprinkler thing in the kitchen. I'm just cooking. Waving a towel at it. We have to go through that again until we figure out how to not create smoke in the cooking situation. And we don't really enjoy that phase because it's annoying and it's loud and it's embarrassing even for us. And if we have the delusion that all the appliances secretly, when I leave the kitchen, all the appliances all look at each other and go, right? Don't you mind living alone? I'm not alone. I have Here's how I haven't got too far yet. I have not left the kitchen and then walked back in saying, I heard that. I haven't done that yet, but it has been on my mind. Are we trying to control the status quo by giving them second chances? Are we their dealer and they need a fix? And the fix is, I'm spoiled rotten. And they'll stay, and this will stay the same because nobody else is going to spoil them the way I do. Okay, so that scenario stays exactly the same. And now we are in a wheelchair and they are on the couch saying, the remote needs a new battery. And we wheel ourselves over to the junk drawer and they say, the game's on. I'll be right there to get the battery for them. Is that what we want? Is that the end game that we are seeking when we say, no, honey, it's okay. No, you go out with your friends and I'll do all the chores that are supposed to teach you how to be resilient. No, it's fine. It's fine. Why do you keep giving him second chances? Why do you keep giving her second chances? Their lives are complicated today. It's not like when we were young. Is that what we're doing? Is that why we keep giving? Is that why they keep asking? Is that why we refuse to call it the 433rd chance? Because if it's only the second one, it's not that bad. I'm circling back around to Pivotry in Motion. I'm circling back around to the conversation that I have all the time with myself, to reel myself back in with my friends who are my colleagues and my clients. Until there is readiness, there is resistance. Until there is readiness, there is resistance. Why is there resistance when it's so great? When there's resistance because the status quo feels familiar. And why does that matter? Because familiar feels safe. Familiar feels safe. Why do we want to feel safe? Well, because we're terrified that it's dangerous out there. Why are we terrified that it's dangerous out there? Because it's dangerous out there. Right? It's dangerous out there. And we have in the back of our head, aside from, fluffy curls, we have a survival brain whose only job, you have one job, his only job is to keep us safe. And so therefore, safe is what we seek. Familiar feels safe. Therefore, we seek familiar. We resist change. When are we ready? When all of a sudden, familiar no longer feels safe. Familiar, big, huge conversation with Susan recently. People who were our safe space stopped growing, became complacent, are perfectly happy with their status quo that was our status quo a while ago. We are moving forward. We are learning new things. We are applying new things. We're saying, no, We're trying it. No. We had a great conversation. Is this worth your time? How many times have we looked at it to see if the investment is worth it? Can we see an outcome that makes the investment worth our time? No, not in this case. We gave it a good shot. Okay, then. I know, but they're looking forward to seeing me. Well, that's their fault. That's their problem. That's their loss. We need to go for something that is better for us. Agreement in that conversation, agreement about my choices, agreement about her choices, agreement about somebody else's choices. Then why don't we apply them in our situations with the people we have become fond of? Why have we said to ourselves, the rules of learning, of growth, of change don't apply? Why have we given them a pass? Are we really helping them? Or are we really trying to hold off time? How many inklings did we invest in that math, in that logic, in that decision? There's a current game and there's an end game. And if what we're doing now we feel is a favor, is a treat, becomes an expectation, becomes entitlement, then how capable are they? What tools have we given them to survive out in the wild on the Serengeti when Mama Lion isn't available? What have we given them? Slim chances, frustration, fear, exhaustion, confusion. Why did we do that? Well, that's not what we planned to do. I need to be there for them, Susan. Some wise Viking once told me, you can't be there now. They have been through so much. I need to be there for them. I don't know why. They've been through so much. You, of course, have not been through anything. You, of course, have been having plates of peeled grapes handed to you your entire life. So why should... What I really love, if you guys are looking at the comments, what I really love is that I'm talking, you're talking to me, and then you're talking to each other, and I can see you talking to each other, and I'm horning in on it. This is what I was hoping these videos would do. Okay, I want to wrap this. What is the unit of measure for wisdom? Inkling. So, on a scale of 1 to 10 inklings, how remarkably stupid was that? How many inklings? How many inklings were harmed? Were set aside, were run over backwards when you were pulling out of the driveway. It's a whole new thing. I can see it now. I'm so glad that I have stuck with this. I'm so thrilled that you have stuck with me. Today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans of all shapes and sizes, this is episode 290. We're only 10 away from 300 of these. And that doesn't count Friday. It doesn't count Monday. It doesn't count the little, stuff that never gets old things that I did way back. This is just this exercise in understanding how difficult it is to stay out of our way and give the people we love room to fall down, say, ow, get back up and try again. This is our journey together. This is our ability and our willingness to leverage change instead of resist it, and celebrate our ability to look over there and say, how long has that been there? And are you listening to you? These are our innate gifts, and we should cherish them and practice them so we get gooder. All right, the weekend is upon us, stuff happening. I will not, sorry, I'd love to. I actually have an appointment early tomorrow morning, so I'm not going to sneak up on you with a video tomorrow morning, but we don't know what might happen later in the day, do we? I will, if I can, I will give you a sign. All right. In the meantime, if I cannot, have a great, productive, confusing, lesson learning, inside curve leaning weekend. Be good to you. You deserve it. Remember to hug your loved ones, but don't do it for them. Catch you next